All right. Hello, everyone. Not quite sure if y'all can hear me. My name is Stephanie Olano, and I will be doing today's talk, which is about mindful money. Uh, Brief summary of what we're going to do today. This topic is really important to me. I've been advocating for our people to know more, not just about financial literacy, but also really the how the mind and the body go into it. And it's not just about numbers, it's actually something that we just need to get more comfortable talking about. And this leads me into what I'm about and who I am. My name is Stephanie Olano. I am by day a licensed marriage and family therapist. I run my own private practice. But in my practice, I noticed that working within the Latinx communities, not only was anxiety coming up, but financial anxiety and trauma kept showing up in so many of my sessions. And I didn't know how to talk to my clients about those things. So I went on this journey for, I think we're going into 3 years now, on how do I talk to our people about money. And it just came from this place of I saw a need, I didn't find the right people, or couldn't really put into words like what I needed from these folks. So I decided to create something on my own. Very Latina of me, I know. But overall, this was how Awkward Money was born. And it came from this place of I want to help people heal their relationship with money through a trauma informed lens. And what I mean by that is embracing that a lot of us do have trauma and speaking it out and calling it out when we have to. All right. So again, because I come from a mental health background, everything I say, it's an invitation. It's not a directive. It's not a rigid instruction. It's not a command. If something doesn't sit right with you, or you're just like, cool, that doesn't work for me, that's totally allowed here. But in today's topic, I kind of want to remind you that it's okay if you need to take a break, if something is overwhelming, or you're just like, I need to move my body, you're so allowed to do that. And if at any point you feel overwhelmed, something is confusing, AKA if you feel awkward, that's totally allowed as well. But before we get started, I kind of want to do a little meditation with y'all. So if you can, or if you want, again, it's optional. I want you to place hand over your heart. And I just want you to just notice your heartbeat. And if you can, just feel the natural rhythm of it. If it's fast, if it's neutral, that's okay. We're not here to judge. We're not here to just force ourselves to be calm. That heartbeat that you're feeling, it's a reminder that you are alive and that you are present and that you are resilient. And if you feel comfortable, I just want you to take a deep breath. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And if you feel comfortable doing so, you can move around on your chest. If you want to tap your fingertips on your chest, it can be softly, or if you don't want to do that, you can tap on the surface that you're near. If you got the jitters, that's okay. We're taking it out in these taps. And I just want you to imagine you're creating a beat, like a soft drum. And I just want you to pay attention to this rhythm. Okay. I just want you to inhale once more and then tap 4 times. So little mind body connection here. So inhale, tap 4 times. And then exhale, following the same beat. Okay. So inhale, exhale. And I just want you to keep repeating this until your breath and this rhythm, everything that you are feeling, they just feel more in sync to you. And as you're doing this, I just want you to think how music is woven into our culture. And I know it's been commodified, Capitalism likes to say, like, this is something that costs money to participate in, but our family knew something and remind us something every day. Music is a part of family parties. It's part of our church gatherings. It's that time that we were cleaning on a Sunday morning and our grandmothers or tias were blaring that music really high. If you can, just let that memory bring you that warmth and that grounding to this moment. And I just want you to say this one thing, this one mantra to yourself if you can. My rhythm sustains me. My community sustains me. And my relationship with money can sustain me too. And then I just want you to take one last deep breath. And if you need to, you can shake it off. All right. So when you're ready. All right. So part of the reason we're here, hopefully, is I want us to kind of unlearn or relearn what budgeting can look like and what really financial, not just doing your finances, but what financial self-care can really look like in our community. I think when people first think about budgeting, they just think spreadsheets. I got to do that app, like the YNAB app or Soma Wealth app, like all these wonderful tech things that incorporate AI, like all of them are wonderful. But whenever I talk to my clients about budgeting, they see it as a restrictive, very rigid thing. It is something they have to do to as like a form of atonement or punishment. It's something to remind them that like, oh, I messed up because I overspent, or I should have done this with or that with my money. I should have invested. I should have bought a house back in the 90s, like all these things. So that's why they avoid the budgeting in the first place. But I want us again to understand that money isn't just about the numbers. It's not about math. It's also shaped by our family, family history, cultural values, systematic barriers. Yeah, systematic oppression does have something to do with this, but also our nervous system. So, AKA, I want us to understand that money is personal. And that's why it's so hard to just sit down and do the financial task. And if you have been guilting yourself or shaming yourself or trying to call yourself out in this way, just know like there are all these other factors that come into this. And that's what makes it so difficult. And again, many folks in our community, they carry this financial anxiety all by themselves. And I'm sorry, but working in the tech industry or having a tech salary or maintaining or achieving these great career successes, they don't necessarily erase the hurdles that come with financial anxiety. So today I want us to understand that there's a framework that integrates money with mental health. So hopefully that's basically what you get out of today's talk and can kind of leave a little bit with like, oh, now I have the knowledge and a little bit more resiliency to take on this task. All right. So back when I started this, the stats were a little bit different. And fortunately, it is increasing. But basically, I want us to understand financial anxiety is widespread. And for many Latinx folks, it isn't just personal money management. It's also about navigating generational and systematic barriers. So surveys like this show that majority of Latinx folks report money is the biggest stressor. And it's often tied to concerns about debt, housing, how to support family. So I don't know about you, but a lot of my clients are their parents' or grandparents' retirement plan. And there's a lot at stake when it comes to having that obligation. And also trying to figure out like, how do I create long-term financial wealth? You know, not just creating wealth for the previous generation, but how do I create wealth for the generation after me? And that leads to questions of, well, what does that mean for long-term security? For a lot of us, we don't have that knowledge. For other folks in different cultures, they had like an uncle or an accountant in the family who were able to guide folks in this is what it means to invest. This is what you need to do to keep up with your books. We don't unfortunately have that. We are in some cases, but not in every case, right? And even for the folks who are quote unquote making money in high paying industries like tech or finances or education, higher education, I should emphasize, financial stress doesn't necessarily disappear. And the wealth gap, again, it's real. Unfortunately, Latinx folks, they earn on average less than their white counterparts. And unfortunately, they're gonna inherit less wealth. And this is what often faces these unique pressures, such as um, in our community, like we have to contribute to extended family. Like I remember packing up suitcases every Christmas to send clothing back to my mother's country, which is Nicaragua. I remember having to send money to cousins that I never met before, but that was like our obligation. And again, like this is what it means to being part of like this first generation wealth builder. There are all these things that come up, all these emergencies that like, wait, like no other culture, or at least we're not talking about it from other cultures, that they have to face this on the daily basis. So this is what it means by the realities mean that the financial progress doesn't always feel secure, even when you have a good or secure job. But also, this is why financial shame is so common, especially in an industry like tech. Many feel like they should be further ahead, or they compare themselves to their peers who probably are outside of the Latinx culture, and they just carry the shame. But they're not clicking in with like, these folks do not have the same systemic burdens that our culture does. And that shame often leads to silence. And this is where these behaviors start to come in. We start to avoid financial conversations. We start to hide things about our debt. We start to feel guilty and maybe even spend more money. Because again, like these are the ways that maybe in our family, like this was a way to honor the culture, to honor our community, but it's so against like how to build that generational wealth or even our personal core values. So I want us to understand that at its core, this isn't about poor financial choices. You are not undisciplined. You are not bad with money. This is really about systematic inequalities and cultural expectations that are beyond our measure. And that invisible weight of being the first in your family to navigate these spaces when it comes to like wealth and power, of course, it's going to be a little crushing, a little anxiety. There's going to be anxiety. All right. So, again, I want us to understand anxiety that comes with money is real. Trauma. Trauma is also another side of this. Trauma doesn't just live in our memories. It's not this movie that keeps saying like, okay, you went through something horrific. You went through war. You went through a car accident. That's not just trauma. That's part of it. But trauma can also be something that lives in the body. It shows up in our daily lives every day. And it often happens without us realizing it. You know, every time we turn on the news, I know I'm traumatized every time I hear the latest headlines, or maybe we hear a sudden noise and we're just like, what was that? All of that could be contributed to trauma. And if you've ever avoided like looking at your bank account or overspent at a store like Target or Walmart or these places that say like we have the deals and please come to us and we'll give you the dopamine that you're looking for, just know like that is a way to self-soothe. But like yeah, we feel ashamed of it. So after making these purchases, or we start to go into this guilt and shame cycle, it's hard for us to get out of it because we also have the cultural expectations. We should be good with money. We have to show up in this way. I kind of want us to understand that it's not just our mind, our rationale, or our logic that's going to get us out of it. It's actually being aware of what's happening in our nervous system. So this is the part I nerd out about a lot, at least in my practice, but polyvagal theory has been around for a while now, but I feel like some folks have kind of made it complicated with a lot of their diagrams. So this was just a nice little metaphor, nice little image I can show you just to explain like what polyvagal really says. All right. So what I want us to understand is if there's a ladder and I'm at the top and I can see everything around me, I can see like maybe the repairs around the house I need to do, or I can see a nice view beyond me. Hopefully, I feel safe up there. I can, because again, I can see where danger is coming and I'm far away from it. Right. So I want us to know like, I'm like Rocky on top of the stairs because I can see everything that's coming at me. That's called the ventral vagal. That's where I'm safe. Maybe when I'm feeling safe, I want to feel connected to the world. I want to be a part of it and in it. Again, I'm Rocky and I'm just so like ecstatic up there, right? When it comes to money, maybe you're able to review your budget in a calm manner and you're able to make intentional spending decisions and you feel so aligned with your values and your goals and everything seems to be clicking. And for my ADHD folks, like this kind of feels like hyperfixation. Like everything is just this magical thing just happens and you're able to put all your thoughts and all of your intentions together and everything on the to-do list gets done. Wonderful feeling. Don't want that to end. But we're humans. And sometimes we interpret danger. We sense that something is off. Or maybe we get that phone call that says like, "Hey, we got things to do." This is the sympathetic nervous system. This is where again, I feel danger. Maybe my amygdala, that fight or flight response in my brain starts to get fired up. And again, like I'm no longer at the top, I'm more in the middle of the ladder. The image I like to give is like when you're, in Jurassic Park where the T-Rex is chasing after the Jeep and Jeff Goldblum is saying something smart, like, yes, that we can make jokes, like we try to, decompress or try to make light of the situation, but we are in danger and there's no way out of it immediately. So when it comes to money, you probably get this unexpected bill. Maybe your cards decline while you're in line and everyone's kind of looking at you like, what the hell is wrong with you? Again, you see your bank account and it's lower than expected. And again, you go into like this fix it mode. Some of us do. But yeah, you go into this fix it mode and sometimes like that the fix it doesn't always align with what with our bigger goal. Sometimes we do impulsive shopping here. Because again, like we're trying to relieve stress and we're just trying to get out of a bad situation. So impulsive spending seems like the best thing. Or maybe we go into hyper alert and then we save, save, save and say, no, I can't, I can't spend money on groceries because I just need to go into the save mode. All right. Maybe I'm starting to feel exhausted. And again, the anxiety starts to kick in. Maybe I get the sweaty palms, maybe I get a little jittery. But again, I'm ready for that fight. And then the last part, I give the example of zombie. um, so I'm a horror film buff, but zombie movies scare the hell out of me because it is someone that looks like a human, but their body language and their facial features do not say human. That tells my brain like something is off and I need to get the hell out of there. So the best example I can give for dorsal vagal phase is in Night of the Living Dead. This is when the female protagonist Barbara, she first encounters a zombie in the cemetery and it doesn't look like it's attacking her, but she straight up freezes. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know or can't hear that her brother's telling her to run and hide, but she just can't do it. We do the same thing with money. When you open your bank account, some of us freeze, some of us feel numb, and you try to avoid looking at your bills. You try to avoid maybe screen calls so you don't pick up the phone on a creditor. You start to ignore like all the financial notifications on your phone. Again, you're trying to hide from money because it's a zombie. And again, like your mind and your body, in this state, they're trying to conserve energy because the problem feels so overwhelming and so unsolvable. The only thing your body knows how to do in that moment is just shut down. I want us to understand that this is not the thing that needs correcting. This is not the thing that um, is making you undisciplined or unlovable, even. It's not failure. It's a gentle reminder that your body's trying to keep you safe. But we do need to kind of move toward, like, how do I get closer to, like, engaging with the world? Because that's the only way that we're gonna get out of this. Yes, it's okay to isolate and shut down and, like, be by yourself, and please take care of you when you're in that state, but how do I go climb up the ladder again so I can possibly go back to being safe again and hopefully be more connected with the world? Alright? So with that, this is where I try to teach my clients, um, just again, that reframe of budgeting. So again, traditional budgeting tells us track every cent, cut back any corners, hustle more. Our people love to hustle and work harder when there's a financial crisis. That can come in handy. I'm not saying like that's the wrong approach, but the focus is on restriction and control. Like what do I need to do to get back to safety? Again, not a bad approach. And when we stick to these things, yeah, we get great results. But in the process of that, we are shaming ourselves. We're feeling that guilt. We feel and believe that we are just so bad with money. How could we ever get back into the state? Trauma informed approach kind of flips the script on this. It recognizes that going through this rigid, like one way black and white thinking can backfire on you, especially for those who have financial anxiety or scarcity mindset or history of poverty, like however you want to frame it, right? Hyper detailed tracking, so sitting down and doing your budget line by line, can trigger avoidance. And strict rules can push us into cycles that overspend and add to that self blame. All right. So, trauma informed budgeting really asks us to slow things down and ask questions like, does my nervous system feel safe in this moment? If not, what can I do to get back to safety? And the other question I try to ask is, what feels aligned when it comes to money? What is aligned with my money values? Because again, when it comes to being trauma informed, it's less about perfection. It's yes, on some level, it's less about achieving the goal, at the this very controlling, rigid way, but it's more about creating a framework that supports your mental health, that supports your mind and your body, and is also aligned with your current lived reality. Right? So this type of budgeting really prioritizes flexibility, compassion, and in a lot of cases, more importantly, sustainability. Because when we understand that trauma informed budgeting can change, it can be flexible, it might look different day to day. Hopefully, we can introduce, like, okay, I can give myself this patience or this grace. All right. I can be more fluid with it because it's built into the system that things can change, your obligations will look different. And hopefully, when you're spending money or saving money, there's just a little bit more room for joy or gratitude. So, again, real financial wellness, real financial healing isn't built on shame or restriction. It's not a punishment. It's really about building safety, self trust, and the values that matter to you. And hopefully, it builds that financial confidence that a lot of people talk about. And because it's working with your nervous system, not against it. So, this is just like a quick breakdown on what the financial informed budgeting can look like. And this is why, like, w- budgets never look the same between my clients. Like, what works for one will not work for another. That's generally been the case because, again, your nervous system is going to be different. And I can't help but think the content that is out there, that's why it doesn't work for us. It doesn't speak to us. All right. So, step one is start with safety, not shame. Shame is bad. Shame is something that we at least just need to be more curious and acknowledge, like, okay, what is really driving this? And how do I work my way back to safety? Instead of diving into the numbers right away, notice what emotions are coming up for you in this moment. And again, safety is really about setting realistic expectations. Can really logistically save $20 in the next week or $500 within the next few months? You know, if not, that's okay. That's not your life right now. So we're just not aiming for perfection anymore, and we're trying to let that go. So a way to do this is choose one simple habit, whether it's money, whether it's self-care, whether or both in my case. I try to advocate for, like, here are just some like financial wellness tips you can try on your own. But one thing you can check out is, just check your balance just once a week instead of every other day. I know a lot of us, like, we have the bank apps on our phone, so we're just like, let's just check it to see how much is there. Let's try and limit that to like once a week. And then pair it with, like, if we are checking our accounts, pair it with a grounding practice. Like, let's take a deep breath. Maybe we journal about the reaction we have looking at that number. All right. Identifying core values is really, like, so with budgeting, what I have always just struggled with is, like, yes, I can sit down and do the spreadsheet thing. Like, that's the part that's not hard. But it's the judgment I have about, like, I spent a lot of money on, like, things like lattes. All right. So this is where, again, like, we just have to get more connected with, why am I spending money on this latte? Oh, I like to give my money to small businesses who also serve me coffee. It's a win-win for me. So this is where, again, like, we start to unearth, like, why we have the values that we have. So in this case, I tell my clients, like, write down the top 3 to 5 values when it comes to money that are just so important to you. Obviously, a lot of us, like, we want to save for our family. We want to invest in things like art or creativity. We want to have financial freedom. I also try to add, like, why don't we add rest to that, and what can rest look like? Right? So it's just looking at our current spending, and if we can unearth, like, what these values are really trying to tell us, and if they're really important to us. Right? So the next one is create gentle containers for money. So traditional budgets track, again, every cent, every dollar. It has to have a job. Again, I'm not saying that's wrong. But trauma informed budgeting is really about using flexible categories that support your nervous system. So the way that this could look like is broad spending buckets, like essentials, future you, joy, community. Because I think, like, we should be more playful with our spending buckets, right? If you want to be Delulu and say, like, I want to save for, like, a trip to France or Italy, like, fine, so be it. Like, that's on you. Why you have the buckets you have, that's up to you. But how do we build a system so you can automate your saving and set aside this money without the guilt? you know and there's more fun, there's more joy in this. And the last step is building in the flexibility and compassion. Budgets are living tools. They're not rigid contracts. We're not signing, like, with Faustian, like, okay, if I do this, then I get all the knowledge. No, it's just a way to embark on this. And again, life happens. So if there is a crisis, there's room for that. And your nervous system builds the space to adapt. All right. So how we do this is, again, we need to adjust our categories. We need to look at our needs and our values because they're shifting, and we practice that self-compassion. If you overspend, again, we accept that's part of the process, not a failure. So a way that this can look like is monthly check-ins. We focus on what worked and what didn't, and what went well, and what do we need to do to adjust. It can be that simple. So I know we're kind of running out of time, but I want to leave the question with, does my budget really reflect my values? Like, seriously. And if not, that's the thing we have to change. So I really want to thank you all for having me here. And I want to give you all a little something for your patience and, hopefully you not only take the knowledge here, but you take something with you. And if you complete a survey about my talk, you'll get a free gift meant for the holidays. It's right around the corner. I know, I'm here to shock you. But if you complete the survey, you'll get a workbook on how to manage your anxiety when it comes to spending for the holidays. So, again, I really appreciate your time. And yeah, thank you for being part of this talk.